Hello, welcome to my channel. Today's video I'm just going to be talking about my experience with looking at other people's crochet work and where to be inspired from and how that makes me, how that works for me. I haven't actually planned this video, I haven't written a script or anything, so I'm just going to chat with you and see where we end up. I have some photos of things that inspire me that will come later in the video, so do stick around for that because they may be helpful to you. And yeah, so this video is basically how personally I try to avoid looking at other crocheters' work. That includes patterns, photos and videos. So yeah, let's get into it and I shall explain why. So I've been a creative, making money from my creativity for 20 years now. I've worked for myself. I used to have a business called Merakai. Some of you may know it from my past. And that is where I would sew and do macrame jewellery and some crochet, but I didn't do nearly as much crochet as I do now. I mostly did sewing and dyeing, tie-dye and dye effects on clothes and things like that. I shall link some pictures as I'm speaking to show you some of the things I used to make. And back then, there wasn't the internet really. I didn't have a smartphone. I didn't have the ability to constantly look at other people's work. So I was being inspired by what I saw in real life. I used to go to lots of festivals and parties. I was a bit of a raver back in the day. And I would be inspired by what I'd seen on people, colours, shapes, things that I liked basically, and then I would go home and create something from the ideas that I'd come up with from things that I'd seen. So that is always been my natural way to create. That is the way my brain works best. I like to see things out in the world that inspire me and give me ideas. And since probably since I've had my son really, so 6 years, I've mostly done crochet. I have done barely any sewing and I've only done a small amount of macrame, just because it's easier to crochet with my son around. It's small, I can keep it in a bag. Don't need equipment or anything for it. So that's why I've really focused in on crochet, because becoming a mum has done that. But I still get inspired the same way that I used to. So one of my best selling patterns, for example, is a crochet hood. And I know that there are lots of crochet hoods out there, but I have been making them for 20 years. And I started off making them as fabric hoods. I used to make hooded waistcoats. I got the idea from that, for example, from going to a festival in Portugal called Boom Festival. It's boiling hot there, really, really hot. And when I first started going there wasn't much shade. They've planted lots of trees since, but there wasn't much shade the first year I went. So I designed for myself a linen hood, but that was also a waistcoat. But the waistcoat was backless, so it covered my tummy, which I wanted to cover my tummy in my bikini top. Cover my head to keep me shaded from the sun, but I still wanted the sun on my back. So that's how I designed that. It was out of necessity. It was something I wanted, and they became best sellers, and I sold hundreds of those. And from there, throughout the years, I've always done big hoods because of that. And when my son was 1 or 2, I designed my Elwyn hood pattern. I've been making crochet hoods for years, but this was the first one I'd actually written a pattern so other people could recreate it, and that has become one of my best selling patterns. So yes, there are other people that do things like that, but the idea came to me a long time ago through something else, and it has evolved through time. And for me, that's how I like to work. That's how my brain gets its juices flowing and what excites me. I think one of the most important things about creativity is the flow. The flow for me is just the sweet spot in life. When I am creating something because an idea has come to me and I've been inspired and I am just in my own little bubble, I am at my happiest and I feel like my best work comes that way. Which leads me on to why I try to avoid looking at other people's work and watching other people's videos. This is not to say that obviously I don't see other people's work. I do have TikTok, I have YouTube, I have Pinterest, so I do see other people's work, but I very actively don't seek it out. I find For me personally, and I don't know if you feel the same way, I suffer with imposter syndrome. I struggle with comparing myself to other people. So I find that if there is a creator on YouTube who's doing really well and they've got their 100,000 subscribers plaque, and you know they're creating hundreds of patterns a month and making a fortune, I can't help but spiral a little bit about how they're better than me and what they're doing, and that is paralyzing to me. I find that the moment I hop on that spiral, it can really hold me back. So I avoid looking at other people's work. I have recently designed quite a few mosaic crochet patterns and I've had people say to me, oh, have you seen this person? Have you seen that person? And I haven't, because I know that if I do, I will compare myself, and comparison is the killer of creativity and joy. So I can show you a current something that I've literally done this week, where I've been inspired by something that has nothing to do with mosaic crochet, but has ended up being a mosaic crochet pattern. So my son was playing in the garden and he was wearing his fish t-shirt, and I was watching him thinking, I really like that t-shirt. What is it I like about it? Well, the colours are nice, but that wasn't so much what it was the fish. I really like the fish. What I like about them is that they're long and thin and that they are alternate. And I thought, I wonder if I can make a mosaic fish pattern. And lo and behold, here we are. They're long and thin, they're alternate, and they're obviously pixelated because it's mosaic, but I really am pleased with how that's come out. And it's just a split moment of, I wonder, can become something really, really cool. And that is how I like to be inspired. One of the other things I really love about being inspired by things in your everyday life is you never know when it's going to happen. I was sat on the toilet the other day and I looked down at my bathroom mat, which I have here. It might be hard to see, but it has stripes and then lines going the opposite way. And I really quite like the repeat sort of checkered pattern of it. And I was looking at it and I just thought, I wonder, this is how my brain works. This was at 11 o'clock at night. So like I said, you never know when it's going to come, but I just had to immediately get on with it. And I started a pattern, but it wasn't coming out right. So I tried again and I came up with this. So this is just a sample swatch. As I said, it was 11 o'clock at night. I should have been going to bed really, but I had to have a try to see if I could create something similar to that, and I'm really pleased with how it came out. I can't wait to actually turn this into a proper pattern now. And that had come from, we put them together so you can see, bear with me. So you've got the lines going that way and the lines going that way, and I really like it. So that wouldn't have come about if I hadn't have just let the ideas flow to me. Flow state is absolutely my favourite thing. I used to be a lot more in flow state before I had my son. Obviously, every 5 minutes, Mummy, takes you out of this place. So when I get the opportunity, I love it. It is such a wonderful feeling to just come up with an idea, to start acting on it, for it to start working, for you to then continue to evolve it and turn it into things. It's just, I feel lucky. I feel lucky that I get to experience that. I hear people say, oh, I'm not creative at all. And I think, well, firstly, I think everyone has some creativity in them. You just need to try. But secondly, how lucky am I that it comes so naturally to me? I love it. Do you have natural creativity? Do you enjoy getting into flow state? Because for me, it really is one of life's greatest pleasures. I find with learning new skills as well that I don't like to dive too much into other people's way of doing things. It's absolutely in my nature, as from a child, I like to do things my way. I'm incredibly stubborn, and a lot of people could see it as a flaw, but I actually feel like it's a bit of a superpower. If it's not my way, I won't do it. So learning a new skill, I will briefly watch how someone does it or look at something to see how it's done, and then I will figure out my own way of doing it. For example, recently I made, well, not recently, maybe last year, the year before, I can't remember. I made a spiral hanger video. Let me show you one of these. It's a bit dusty, it's been hanging up in my room. So I know that these were trending and were popular, and I wanted to have a go at making one, but I didn't want to use someone else's pattern. I don't enjoy the easiness of that. I understand the concept, as I've been crocheting for 20 years, I understand the concept that if you do extra stitches into your chain, it will spiral. So just understanding that in itself helped me know how to make one of these. And I made 6. I made 6 of these until I got it right. Rather than copying someone else's pre-made pattern, I will go through the process of trial and error, which is something I feel like a lot of people don't do anymore. Trial and error is the greatest way to learn. I believe I am so skilled because I try and I get it wrong, and I try again and I get it wrong and I try again. So this is one little example of that. I mean, I do this bag, for example. I made many bags before, but I did not like the top, the way I had done the top. So I undid the whole thing, which is also double layer. So that's, and I redid it, and I would rather frog it and redo it, or I had 6 of these that went right that ended up in the bin, and learn that way. It just, my brain enjoys it and I learn so much better that way. So my point being, I know that there are loads of patterns of these out there, and I'm sure there's only 4 rows or 5 rows, so I'm sure there's a limited amount of ways of doing it. But my brain was able to figure out how to do it, and I got a lot of pleasure from the figuring out. And quite often with my, I think it's ADHD, with my ADHD brain, once I figured it out, I'm done. So I've made 3 of these now, and I probably won't make another one because I got the pleasure of the figuring it out, and I've videoed the process to help other people. But yeah, so it's my design, though it's probably similar to others, and my brain is happy figuring things out even when things go wrong. And I do wonder whether others do the same as me, or if you prefer to just be shown how to do it and that's enough for you. I'd really be interested to hear your opinion on that, because I wonder if I'm strange or if it's a common thing for creatives. I'd really like you to leave a comment and let me know. So that's a little insight into how I work and how my brain works. And like I said, I feel blessed and lucky that my brain does work this way. It keeps me very entertained. And yeah, that's one of my favourite things about myself, is my creativity and my ability to figure things out. And yeah, I enjoy that part of myself. So I'm going to show you now some photos of things that recently inspired me. I'm now very much into mosaic crochet, as you know, so I am looking at things that can be turned into potentially mosaic patterns, and these designs can come from anywhere. And I'm aware, like I said before, some of these patterns have been used before, but I am looking into the world and seeing what I can create from what I see. So now I shall just do a little montage of images that could inspire a mosaic crochet pattern, or could inspire any kind of design really, to give you a clue and insight into things that I spot when I'm out and about, that may be helpful to you too. So thank you so much for watching my video. I've really enjoyed making this one. I quite like making these chit chat videos. Please let me know if you enjoy them too, because I'd like to make more. I don't have much opportunity to make videos. As I say, I'm a mum, so it's Easter and my son is home. He's gone out for the day to the zoo today, so I was able to sit and chat with you guys. So yeah, it's been really nice. I hope to see you again very, very soon.